This video is going to show you how to go about doing the vocabulary part of our reading routines. So you'll notice at the bottom, after your focus question, is a list of vocabulary words from that section. And sometimes they'll be bolded, sometimes they won't. Now these have page numbers. Unfortunately, those page numbers are if you have a hard copy of the book. They don't match up with the pages in the PDF version, but a handy trick to find them is to just do Control F, and then you can find what the different words are. So ambled is one of the words, so I'm able to easily find it. So that's something that you can do as well. There's 3 and sometimes 4 things that you're going to be doing when you do the vocabulary. And I've kind of broken it down here for you if you need to look at those and need a refresher, but I'm going to walk you through those steps. So the first word that we've got here is assuaged. So I'm going to start by putting that in the middle of one of my word squares. And the next thing I'm going to do is the context clues part. So I'm actually going to copy over the part of the sentence that word is in. So I've already got it highlighted here. So I'm going to try to copy and paste that over, and we'll see if it actually works. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to just copy very briefly what it says. When it healed, and Jem's fears of never being able to play football. All right, so I've put that there. And now what I want to do is to think about what this sentence is saying and see if I can use some context clues to help me guess what I think the word's going to mean. So it says when it healed, so it's referring to the injury that Jem got. What did it say? He fell out of a tree or something? I guess it doesn't really tell us. But he had some kind of an injury. So it says, when it healed and Jem's fears of never being able to play football were assuaged, he was seldom self-conscious of his injury. So right away, I'm kind of thinking here, it talks about his fears. And it also talks about healing. So if it's saying when it healed, so I'm thinking if he's a football player, the injury healed, he's not going to be afraid anymore that he can't play. So it says he's never being able to play, they were assuaged. So I'm going to think that assuaged means something like they were put to rest or they were calmed. Because I'm thinking if the injury healed, what would happen to his fears? Well, they'd go away. So I'm going to guess that assuaged means something along the lines of going away or calmed or something like that. But to double check myself, I'm going to go into my Learner's Dictionary and I'm going to type in the word and see what I get. Okay. So I'm kind of on the right track. So it says it's to make something unpleasant, less painful or severe. So I was kind of on the right track with that one. So I'm going to put in that definition here, which is to make something all right. And that seems to make sense with what I guessed here. So now I need to do an image or a symbol that kind of reminds me of what that means. So I think what I'm going to do, because it says something less painful, which kind of reminds me of like Advil or something. So I'm going to just draw something that maybe moderately looks like Advil. I don't really know. You guys are better at this than me. I can't do a whole lot with this stupid thing, so I don't know. So you can just put in some kind of a picture here that reminds you of what it means. And actually, I kind of like that if Advil, because Advil and Asaged both start with an A, so I kind of like that. Now this one you'll notice Asaged is not bolded, so I do not need to do the vocab breakdown section. All right. There's a couple other ones. Let's do the disturbance, because I think this one's interesting. It's not necessarily one you'll be able to Google or look up, so you kind of have to use your background knowledge. The disturbance. So again, I'm going to start by copying over the sentence it's in, which is right here. Simon would have regarded with impotent fury the disturbance between the North and the South. With impotent fury okay, so next step is going to be to highlight some key terms. So I know what a disturbance is, and then I'm also noticing here that they've capitalized the words north and south, so they're referring to places. So I'm going to kind of dip into my background knowledge. So I know they're in Alabama, which is in the south. We know from what we've read so far that this Simon guy had slaves. So when it talks about the disturbance between North and South, there's really only one thing I can think of, and that is the Civil War. So that's why you can go and look up what the word disturbance means, and you'll find that it means something that's like is upsetting or makes something not normal. But it doesn't necessarily refer to what the author is looking at. So here it says to cause something from continuing in a normal way. Well, it's true, but it doesn't tell us what exactly the author meant in this. So that's why we have to use our background information. So I'm going to say that the disturbance was the Civil War. And again, that word is not bolded, so I don't need to do the vocab breakdown section. And then you can come up with your own image or symbol for representing what he meant by that. You can do ambled on your own, but I do want to show you vague optimism because that is one that requires you to do the vocab breakdown, and that's what I want to show you. All right, so you can go through and repeat these two sections, but I want to focus on the breakdown of the word optimism. So you'll notice here that you've got 8th graders, you're familiar with these. You've got a little vocab breakdown box that has the space for prefix, root, and suffix. And so the first step for this is to break down the word optimism into its parts. Now, a prefix is a beginning of the word part. There's not one in here. So I'm going to leave that blank. Then I see I've got the root word opt. And then I've got ism is my suffix. It's that ending part. So I've given you a website that you can access here that is great for looking up different word parts. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to look up opt first. And I'm going to choose the one opt with a dash because the dash means there's other parts you can put on or tack onto it. So I see here op, and it's giving me all different versions of it. It means eyes or sight. So I'm going to write that right underneath it. And then I've got the suffix or the ending part, ism, I-S-M. So I'm going to search that up. Now I'm going to put a dash in the front because that means words can come before it with this at the end. All right, so then here it says it's belief in something or the practice of doing something. So I'm going to put belief here. All right. And why this helps us is because if you were to go look up what optimism means, it means something along the lines of looking on the bright side of things or believing things are ultimately positive. So it kind of combines these two words. So your sight is kind of your vision or how you perceive things, and then your belief about them. So optimism means generally believing the best in a situation. And then this one, you also have the word vague, which you can just put in using your dictionary, which basically means something that's unclear or kind of weak. So in this case, vague optimism is somebody who kind of believes that things are generally positive, but not a whole lot vague. It's kind of positive, kind of not. So this is how you would go about doing your vocabulary. Again, this is just your first shot at it, so we'll continue to practice it, but this is something that you will be doing at one of the stations on a regular day.